Hello, beautiful people, future me. Welcome to another programming workout of mine. We'll start with the typing as always, and then, what do I will next? What will I do next? We'll see. Typing.io. Let's start a timer. Oh, crap. Okay, that kind of felt nice. 1%. This is the way. This is the way. out of the time. I will stop this now. Stop this timer, maybe, and start the another time. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. So two things come to my mind. One would be doing the execute program, and the other one would be continue in the Spring tutorial. It's Spring. Okay, let's get into it. I will have a look at my notes. Come on, come on. So, we will create a main app.java. Not here, it will be somewhere in here. Okay, so we have a main app. We create application. And why is the beans the last? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I will create the beans first. Okay, so I will have a look in the structure. I'll close this, that is ugly, and the configuration file usually lives in here, so I do XML configuration file, this is the Spring one. The name will be beans with a capital B, and in here will be our beans definition. Okay, so this one, I never know what it does. It just, I click through this and that bar on top disappears, but I have no idea what it did. So, what I was about to do, I was about to, well, basically copy paste this. So, we do the data source. Oh, the data source is the one with the driver. And I think it's not com MySQL JDBC driver anymore, it's something else a little bit. Then this will not be test for me, and I also have different credentials, access credentials. So what I will do, I will, I'll just create it. So bean ID data source, then class com example dot, and here we have okay, my bad. Org Spring Framework JVC data source. That's not it. Data source driver manager source. Driver manager source. Probably will not remember that. Property. class name, and we want to put in the value, and the value is com.mysql.jd. Oh, it was the CJ, right? If I do JDBC and dot driver, it might actually tell me that it is deprecated. Or it doesn't. Okay. So, property, the next one will be what? URL. And URL is where my server is running, so that will be localhost. Okay, so JDBC MySQL, right? Localhost. I'll have a look in the workbench. I closed it. Okay, so workbench, go. It is localhost 3306. Okay, thank you. Localhost 3306 port. Right, is the right syntax. 3306. Okay, and my is sys. Okay, now we have property. Username is that is username is root, and my super secret password is MySQL. If you have anything that you value in any sense at all, don't share this with the wide public. But this is like training, so it doesn't matter. So we have the transaction manager. Okay, so bean ID will be transaction manager. Then the class we will find in what we wrote.com example, and come on, student marks mapper. I don't see it here. Okay, what is it? Transaction manager. Okay, it's totally wrong. It's lived in the Spring Framework. JDBC data source transaction manager. Okay, or G Spring Framework JDBC data source, and what was it? Data source transaction manager. I think this one has some properties. Close the tag. Oh, come on. Like so. Here we go. And we have the property of property name, data source, ref, data source. This is weird. This. Oh well, okay. Property, data source, value, data source, closing tag, and then we have the last thing. And the last thing, okay, so what I'm not kind of like following what we are doing. Shouldn't this be like reference to that guy? Maybe maybe it should. It says ref, yeah, okay. So the value means that I put inside there something uh, like it will be the string in this case, I think. But if I say reference, I mean ref, it will take it as a reference, and that will mean that it will look inside of the quote and look for the same thing. And because IntelliJ is kind of smart, so if I select this, you can already see that it highlights this. It is an ID, so it actually searches something with this ID. So once again, the value, even if I go here, there's no highlight. And if I say ref as a reference, I can see that even IntelliJ knows that those are linked. So this guy goes inside this guy. So next thing we will create after the transaction manager is something the template maybe. Yeah, the template. Okay, and we will set we will use two setters like data source and transactional manager. If we have a look in the template which we create, that is the student JDBC template here, we can see that we have those we should have setter. So we have a data source. We have nothing else. Oh, and the transaction manager. Here we go. So transaction manager and data source. And what we will do is to use those setters using that XML or like so. First, this will be uh, student JDBC template, how they called it. Yeah, so I'll just copy it so to have the same thing. And then we will point it to the right class. So here it knows, and I mean Spring. Spring knows which this bean within this name is actually pointing to on based on which class it should be created. So I say come example and we'll point it to the thing we have created, which is in here. And then we will fill the properties of that bean. So we have two setters, right? So property, and it even let us choose. So we can select the data source, which we have here already. And you already know that we should use the reference attribute here because we have already created the bean with that. So I say ref and say data source. It evens the IntelliSense, or how is it called, will let us do that. So now is the time to fill in the second one. It's already pre-filled, so I just press enter. And the transaction manager, you can notice we have here created as well. So an IntelliJ, oh, that's cool. Does it do always? I'm just too fast to, property. Maybe the space is the reference transaction. I'm just pressing enter. Enter programming. Okay. So we completed this, and this is it. So we skipped this place, and that is because it feels kind of illogical to me to create something like, for example, the application context is using the bean XML, right? but the bean XML did not exist the previous few moments ago. And the same goes for the template and so on. But here we have just the template, I believe. Okay, so now I will create the main app. And to do that, we will switch to the tree and insert a class. Class with name main app. And inside of here, we will run the application. This is our starting point. So in Java, that is the public static void main, right? We won't create our application context, so we will say new, and this is path uh, path class or XML path. Holy cow! What it was? Class path XML class path XML application context. Here we go, and inside of here goes the name of our well, here goes this file, but now I see that I misplaced the main app. I meant to put it inside of here. Drag and drop I can do in IntelliJ, so that did solve the problem for me right there. And here I say beans, and oh, code completion works in here even. So now I will put this to a variable. But I believe I don't need the class path XML application context. I think application context will be enough. How do I know, you ask? It was in the previous chapters. I don't know why. So application context, now we will create the, okay, so this one kind of creates like some container, they call it, where all of our beans will live from now on. And it will go and read this file where the beans file, where we have definition of all those wonderful things. And the first wonderful thing we will create is our student JDBC template. And because it gets like this and that, it will create those, but it will be included in this being kind of sort of, you know. And that is because if we have a look in the JDBC template, crap. Okay, so that's not what I meant. I meant the one which we wrote. This one that contains the other two, transaction manager and data source. So here, this one I will close. I don't want the tree expanded. It's not nice. Decompile, bytecode, download, choose sources, forget. New updates available. Okay. So I do. I will go to our thing, and here on our, I can use our application context to get our bean. So I'll say get bean, and here we have like multiple implementations of this method, and I will get it based on the name. So that was, I will put in a string, and that was student JDBC something, but to make sure. I will go in here, and it is this guy over here. This is the name or ID. So I will go back to the main app, and in here I will paste it there. So right now this will return us an instance of the student JDBC template. And if we extract it right now, it says it is an object, because and this guy over here, the get bean, it returns a object. See, this is the definition of get bean. So we will convert it, we will cast it to the thing which we want, and that is the student. Oh crap. Mm, and that is student JDBC template. Student JDBC template. Here we go. Now it should start complaining because oh well, I can reference. And this has object to student. That's not what I want, so I will copy this and paste it over the object. Now we have that. So with this in mind, now we have the student JDBC template. The student JDBC template is able to, and this is our gateway to the SQL database, right? So we can use it to fill the database and so on. So we can use the create method on it. So we'll switch back to the main app, and now we say student JDBC template dot create, which is the thing we created some time ago. And the first is a name, so it will be Stepan, and it will be age will be 36. Integer marks will be 1, I don't know, and integer year will be Orwellian 1984. Okay, so we have that. So this is the creation of a record in our database. And now what I probably want to do is to read that, and I should extract somehow two objects. One would be the student marks, and the other one will be, well, it will be just student marks, right? So if I go to the marks, I see all these things. Okay, so I can say I will be now getting just one of them. So I can do that again using our student JDBC template. This is our gateway to the database, right? So I say student JDBC template, and we have few of the things which we have. So here's a list, and here's the set data source, set transaction, which we don't use. I did only the list, really? I thought I would be read it more. No, this is the setters for the data source and transaction manager, and then we have create and just list. Okay, so list it is. We'll have a list of what are the parameters. Integer ID, so that will be one, I think, and this will be, I will extract it to a variable. A list of students, good enough for me. And here, after that, we would like to verify somehow that we have got the record which we stored in the database. I will just do it by printing out the list. So for each loop would be nice to do that. So I say student marks sum from for each uh, student mark of type student marks in this list we will do following, and the following will be just printing out all the things. So this out, and I would like to see what is in there. So I will mm, vertically split and close this, and here will be the marks, student marks, and I will have a look in here. So in here I will say just id equals, and then I will plus id plus comma h equals h. Yeah, so now you can see it's red already, and that is because it cannot resolve the symbol, right? And that is a problem because I forgot that the ID is on the SM. There's a getter, so get ID. Here we go. Encapsulation looks useless because oh, those getters and setters, and we are out of the time. So that means what? We'll have a look in our creation of map main app. That still holds. I'm making slow progress, but that's fine. And that's it. So this says we are done. That is better than perfect. And I will see you next time. Bye.